behind them. That is why we are his mobile unit, his rapid intervention battalion to tell the world that the enemy has no place in Amazonia, that Amazonia is free and free forever. Ladies and gentlemen, let's keep clapping for this wonderful young man who are
no be mob.
sure that he is behind them. That is why he has sent his mobile unit, his rapid intervention battalion to tell the world that the enemy has no place in Amazonia, that Amazonia is free and free forever. Ladies and gentlemen, let's keep clapping for this wonderful young man who are
No be mob, no be social media. No have a wrong mob for social media. No be mob. I tell you now, I say no be mob. When I take the country, the Supreme General bring number with the AGF and General Silvio of the Ambazonian Defense Force and Captain Mokap and Commander Amlek. That take place under the canopy of the AGF, the Ambazonian Defense Force. Everything around I see. I say she no day. Then I'll make a buba no say no get place for inside Ambazonia. Official, you don't prove a buba, they no get place for Ambazonia. Until now I see soldiers in that with the AGF. Everything around I see. The 1st October 2022, when they take place under the canopy of the Supreme General, big number of the AGF, when they take place also Simon Momo, they take place under the canopy of the Supreme General, the AGF General, big number, and the General Official and General Savior this, control the battalion, General Savior this, of the AGF, and everything now on Asiam, so she's no day, they take place under the canopy of the Supreme General, big number. And his General Savior, Navito now Nasiam, their troops in this, a part of their troops in this, Navisa everywhere, their troops. They want to send a strong message for Buba. Me Buba no say no get a place for inside our country, Ambazonia. They want to send message for Buba. No matter the intimidation and the challenges way, Buba the things even intimidate our people for inside Ambazonia. They want to show Buba say no get a place. And we show the war. Me the war no say Ambazonia is a country on its own, no matter the brutalize and the challenges where the terrorists are probably to come around the game on our people. Then our problem with the people say, Ambazonia get the army, where we protect them and take care for our country. Ambazonia on Avisiam, at the General Savior, for instance, Momo, under the company of the Supreme General, big number on Avito now on Asiam, down the battalion in this. Avito now doing our problem with the war. The war no say la probably no get the place for inside our country, Ambazonia. So she no day. They are part of the battalion in this. Now see more. Everything now see I'm everywhere. When everything now see I'm battalion everywhere. They are our program for the war. Me the war no say la probably no get the place for inside our country, Ambazonia. So shake you know day. Everything now see I'm now our student in this. Everything now see I'm. Still now see I'm. So shake no day. So she no day. So she no day. When I tune out,
my fellow Ambazonians, una good evening for all una. For any place where you day, I cut you cafe and your cafe day up. Your place day awo. I salute all una, the brave generation. Today, I just can't make you get a very quick discussion. Could not me. I need to run for go back inside hotel. Which one can tell now today, I say, Christopher Anu, who they call it say Chris Anu. He don't run, which they call and say the interim government. Chris Anu don't abandon the interim government, run the interim government. Yesterday, he put out an audio. yesterday been a Wednesday for November 2nd. Chris Anu put out an audio for outside the way. Oh, I don't hear them. Chris Anu don't abandon himself for he don't abandon for call himself say a president. Reality don't kick in. Even Chris Anu, he don't the run presidency. Even Chris Anu don't the run interim government. Even Chris Anu, where he declared himself president 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks later, for November the 3rd, for Wednesday, November the 3rd, Chris Anu make audio. He deny himself, say not be president again. Now he be comrade in arms. He not be the president of AMBAZONIA anymore. He be not a comrade in arms. Anyways, that one be at just the comedy section for which you want talk. Now the reality that when I don't listen for the audio, when I hear the cry, when I hear the lamentation, when I hear the pity, you just the pity the person. Reality, it only kick in. The international community on October 1, they make an assessment of the Ambazonian liberation. The military-industrial complex for the world. That means say the people that they be in charge for war for the world, where they make guns, bombs, tanks, everything. The military-industrial complex for the world. On October 1, they make an assessment of wetin dey for ground zero, who be who for ground zero. So an interesting report, it don't be established. The most credible institutions for the world, they don't take note over the last 5 years for the Ambazonian liberation struggle. As you know, now just last week, the United Nations, they put out a paper from the United Nations Human Rights Special Procedures. They put out a paper for they articulate them very clearly the reality of Ambazonian liberation. So what you need to know from this point going forward, the leadership of our liberation struggle, the international community will don't pay attention to it. Both Cameroon and the international community, they don't realize and say the time for play games with this war, it don't end. Both Cameroon and the international community, they realize and say the manipulation with the Buan use them, the conning with the Buan use them for deal with Ambazonia, it don't lead to the death of more people, of more children, of more women. It don't lead to the destruction of more properties, more homes, more villages. Because they be try for see if they feel use bribery and corruption for take what it be fiction, and they see if they feel take what it be fiction and they make them into reality. So over the last 3 years, from 2019, it started for 2018, but they escalate them for 2019. For propagate fiction as a reality to the people in order for the international, for Cameroon and the international system, for create a false narrative and then push the Ambazonian people then into a premature negotiation where you not get meaning, you not get head, and you not get tail, and it will lead for back to Cameroon occupation of Ambazonia. October 1, 2022, it showed the real picture of reality versus fiction. October 1, 2022, all the international experts, all the institutions for the world, all the big governments for the world, all the people who want to make peace, they come, all the people who they fight for justice, all the people who they fight for human rights, all them they talk say they must now establish the facts and establish the truth. They don't come to the conclusion, say, manipulation is not going to solve the problem. For use fiction, fictional leaders, fictional institutions, fictional forces, it no go solve the problem between Cameroon and Ambazonia. It go exacerbate the problem and it go prolong the war. So the force where they force Mr. Biya, now say he must recognize the reality. The force where they tell Cameroon, now say Cameroon must abandon the path of bribery, corruption, and manipulation. Cameroon must recognize the reality of Ambazonia liberation struggle. And the international community, it tell Cameroon, say the games they must come to an end. Time for seriousness, again for be now. So waiting when I don't see over the last 1 month, excuse me, waiting when I don't see over the last 1 month, now a dramatic shift from the games of Cameroon, the bribery corruption of Cameroon, for try to use fictional institutions and fictional leaders and push anything within the plan try for do one. Alright? The international community now don't tell them. They must deal with the reality on the ground. They must deal with the reality of these aspirations of the Ambazonian people then. They must come to the conclusion of which the people that they ask them, which the people that they demand them, and which the people they want they fight for. On October 1, they make an assessment on the ground. Who get forces, who not get forces. Because over the last 5 years, some interesting thing will don't happen for Ambazonia liberation struggle. I say you get many movements and many people. They come out, they shout. I be leader, I get organization, I get forces. So the international community be very confused. Who be influential? Who be consequential? Who be impactful? Who get real power versus fake power versus fictional power? Which will be a strong liberation movement versus fictional movements? Fake leaders versus real leaders. So the international community be confused because of the too much noise. But now with hardcore data, with evidence over the last 5 years, the reality don't come. This October 1, it will be a report card of who be who for ground. Because this one not been a war of agitation. Not been a war of a political campaign for people that they fight for political elections. Not been this one now an armed conflict. So the consequential parties, the influential parties, be examined and be determined by how many forces you control them on the ground. Now listen very carefully. How many forces you get on the ground? What will be a level of influence, command and control, and direct leadership over those forces you got them on the ground? Now it make you number one, for you for considered a party to the conflict. You be influential in decision making. You be very impactful on what happen for ground. You be impactful in terms of community engagement, mobilization of the people there. So since 2016, Ambazonia has get all these movements where they come off outside champion the agitation of the Ambazonian people there. Then he can move for a stage where it almost be like a revolution. And then some they shift for corner, some they continue. And then over 2019, when it reached now for the level where not just pure armed conflict, the agitation stage don't finish, the revolution stage don't finish, now they be in a direct liberation struggle and armed conflict. Certain things have become very obvious, both to Cameroon and to the international system. So when I hear a lot of noise as the people they try for position forces, where they not get them. First, all the forces on the ground, now 3 main groups they be there on the ground at the beginning of our liberation struggle for 2016. By 2017, now 3 main forces they be there on the ground. You will get the AMBAZONIA Defense Forces under a direct political leadership. You will get SOCADEF under a direct political leadership, and you will get the Tigers. Are the 3 main dominant forces in that on the ground when things they kick off. Then we can hear about the Red Dragons. And then you hear about all the other kinds, small forces like the TTA, they come up, the 7 Qatar, they come up, the Buffaloes of Bali, they come up. You hear forces like the British Southern Cameroons of General Aroke come up, and then you hear forces like the Marines of Babalang under General Nopiti. All of these forces, some of them they come up for ADF forces, them like Grandpa of Bali being an ADF fighter, General Nopiti be ADF fighter, General Aroke ADF fighter. All them they start for create their own place, their own forces. We see all this trajectory. We see all this growth, we see all this expansion, we see the change in dynamics on the ground. Then we see the dynamics of people, the way they not be get forces, they don't want anything to do armed resistance. They realize and say, now armed conflict, for you forget, for be consequential, for be influential, for be impactful, you need to get a stake in the game. When I see how they come out, the launch which they call and say county by county. County by county will be a strategy for take for other people, their forces them. And then give them for some other person. And during that time, the one give the force and for this man where they call it Samuel Sako. The man where he come, he take they do their thing, and then they push it, say now don't be the new IG president. Alright? They want rally, take all these forces them, put them for you, say, now you get all the forces them on the ground under county by county. So county by county, it will be not just a strategy for gather the forces on the ground, where these people, they not recruit them, they not train them, they not give them guns, but they want just politically and manipulatively gather all these forces, for surround these forces around Sako, and then push Sako for up, so that may they go do what they want do in terms of talks will come around. The triumph, the confusion on the ground, it led to the death of many soldiers. I no need for go there, I know all this one. I no need for tell now this gospel anymore because now an old record. Moving forward. They come up from county by county. They said no. They want to go create now na AROF. They want to go create na AROF. They take the same forces, change the name, strive for still push and for Sako, or for push and say na he control most of the forces on the ground in order for you for be consequential, in order for you for be influential, and in order for you for be impactful, for engage the international community and therefore engage Cameroon for what they call and say direct talks with the person will be most consequential. The triumph for 3 years since 2019, they take the Ambazonian people them on a path of absolute bullshit. Using who? The most corrupt international NGO, what they call and say HD. They take an NGO, wrap Ambazonian people them under a lie, under a fake, under a fraud, through small money with this fraudulent NGO, it take them from the international community, say it organize talks for Ambazonia. And then it take these leaders them, begin to give them small money, so that they begin to lie. Say talks they go on. They keep Ambazonian people them under the lie. Why did they wrap all these forces them on the ground under the same lie? Say they be AROF. No man not create a force. They just come out. They take the same force, where they be called county by county. They not create them. Are just forces on the ground. They start to give the new name. Or it will be now the manipulative and deceptive art for wrap forces around a specific person and push the agenda of whatever form of dialogue or negotiation, because they consider that person as the most consequential, the most influential, and therefore the person will go for make the decision for talks. Now the whole goal is around the Swiss talks. Now the whole game this. It be all it be shaped and created with a fictional institution, a fictional leader with fictional forces. So when they try to push the game on the ground by killing forces where they no one agree with them, by going after forces, any person you don't agree with them, they come after you because you must come under that structure in order to forgive this person the fictional perception of having control over all forces on the ground. Now the reason that way they killed 39 ADF forces for Bui. The reason, because they no one joined the fictional, what will be the word? They no one joined the fictional wagon of power. They no one joined the fictional leader. They no one joined the fictional IG for come under E and then for push things they say that then they control ground zero. That's why they killed 39. That's why they launched a campaign for eliminate all the forces where they not come after them. That the whole reason this. Why they tell them that this one? The reality, it don't kick in. County by county, it don't collapse. ARUF, it don't collapse. Now they don't run from ARUF. They want to go create another fictional thing. Where they call them Unity Warriors. Unity Warriors. Ma warn all una. Unity Warriors not be a force. Unity Warriors. Now the new concept for try to see if they feel rally forces again and try to sell them for some person. Una hear me fine. Unity Warriors. Now the new concept with the manipulators within Ambazonian liberation struggle. Some of them include Sikot Johnson, Mark Barretta, the people of Southern Cameroon's International Town Hall will be controlled and led by Maggie Kilo and Ato under the influence of Dr. Fontem Neba. Now Fontem Neba, he creates Southern Cameroon's International Town Hall. Underground, na he run am. For front, he put na Dr. Maggie Kilo, Ian Ato. The goal, now for rally all forces them, create a new fictional leader, sell those forces and place those forces under that person, and then for make that person consequential. Now, that game, it don't also fail for October 1. Make una hear the report. According to international statistics, according to military industrial complex, it shows say for all those forces on the ground, for Ambazonia for October 1, out of the 13 states for Ambazonia, now for 11 states out of 13, the Ambazonian people with their various forces, they celebrate independence. 2 states, no independence celebration for Ambazonia. Now 11 states, independence parade celebrations, they take place inside Ambazonia. 2 states, none. Alright? The 2 states them, they be highly infiltrated. Out of those 11 states, if you look like the state of Boyo, the forces of General Aruke, they only celebrate independence now for one community for the state of Boyo. One community for the state of Boyo. Go for Mezam, for Bali. The forces of Grandpa of Bali, the Buffaloes of Bali, they only celebrate independence now for that one place for Bali. The forces of General No Pity, they celebrate Independence Day now for one place for inside Ngoketujia. The forces of the seven kata of Bali, they only celebrate Independence Day now for that one small place. The forces of Sokadev of Dr. Ebenezer Akwanga, they only celebrate Independence Day now only for one small place. Now only one force, it be able for mobilize the Ambazonian communities mobilize the Ambazonian people, and celebrate independence for 8 states. While all the other one them under one person in command, so the forces under General No Pity, they only do under General No Pity. It not be directly attached to any political movement. All right, forces under General Grandpa Valley, they only do under General Grandpa Valley for that place where they did. They not be directly attached to any political movement. The forces of Seven Kata, they only do for that their block. They only be attached to the generals of Seven Kata. They not be under any political movement. So there be local forces under local command, under local cartels. When I get a point, the Ambazonia Defense Forces under the Supreme Commander General Efang, big number. Now it be the only force where immobilize the Ambazonian people them with their commanders and generals for 8 states out of the 11 where they celebrate Independence Day. That then be the only one where they be able to mobilize the Ambazonian people them, the Ambazonian population for 8 different states under one direct central command. The Ambazonia Defense Forces, now the only force will be able to celebrate Independence Day, mobilize the population, and celebrate Independence Day for 8 different states. The only force. Bui Warriors, they only celebrate Independence Day for one place as Bui Warriors. If you come up for that place, Bui Warriors not exist. When I get the point. So, in the past, the international community, because of the propaganda and the fiction, they give the international community a wrong perception of who is who on the ground. And because of the too much noise out here, based on TV propaganda and social media paid activists, they create a perception, a fiction of false power. So, when the international community, if you want to try for prescribe a solution, for find a solution to the conflict, they be rely on this fiction. So, that's why for the last 3 years, that fiction, it not be fit, it not get any substance for the international community for make any progress. That's why that fiction for the last 3 years, since when I be here about the Swiss talks, now because they realize I said there is no substance for those talks for be real. They realize I say it will be based on a fictitious foundation for create the talks, and therefore the people them, or they be identify them as consequential parties to the conflict, it be all being a fictitious characters without any substance behind them. The world don't realize and say they not get power on the ground. They not get forces where they claim say they get them. They not get control over forces where they claim say they get them. So it be being a fiction. That's why the Swiss process through the HD, it not make any movement. Because the people they gather them around those things, it not show say even if something be happen, the implementation process not go forward, and there is no buy-in on the ground, so the whole thing go be useless. That's why when I be see this infighting within the Ambazonian struggle, or for see how they feel make a fictitious thing make it become real. So, what you need for know now, I say, there is a shift in the international community as to who is most consequential, most influential, because facts na facts. evidence, na evidence. For solve a problem, you need for base the solution on evidence, not be fiction. Now the 21st century this. The facts they don't be established. The governing council of Ambazonia, now the most consequential, the most influential, the most powerful, the most structured movement on the ground with forces in 8 states in Ambazonia. Now the change in international perception that, and therefore now the change in international decisions on the path forward. As we don't tell now, the truth shall set you free. The truth, it will set the Ambazonian people them free. The truth, it only set you free. When you build things on solid foundation, you don't need to worry about loud noise, empty noise. With time, the loud noise, the empty noise, it will disappear. The truth about Ambazonia, the truth about our people, their rights, the truth about our people, their aspirations, it don't set in. Reality, it don't set in. Fiction, it don't disappear. That's why even Chris Ano, he don't run away from the title for call himself say be president of Ambazonia. From the old way maker, when I hear the lamentation, when I hear the cry, it don't come out from president of Ambazonia to now comrades, a comrade in arms. Humility don't kick in. That's why when I hear people them like Bob got harmony, the cry. When Ambazonian they work very hard for create solid structures. These elites, they only go shit on for back for create schemes, fiction, manipulation. Reality don't set in. The power of the structure of power for Ambazonia don't change hands. The structure of power for Ambazonia don't change hands. The power don't come out from the elites. The power they now into the hands of the commoners. The 99% of all when we stand up for truth. The 99% of the common person will stand up for the rights of our people them. Power don't change hands. The elites, they don't be confused. The manipulation, the manipulators, all those one will not be fit for fight Cameroon, stand for Cameroon. Today, they look at you, the ordinary Ambazonian, the youth, the general no pity, an ordinary common boy. Today now you don't be the hope of the generation. You